I spent 38 years building a wall around my family. The man who tore it down had a key the whole time, because I gave it to him. Nobody tells you the truth about being a caregiver. It doesn't break you all at once. It takes you apart the way water takes apart stone, slowly, quietly, until the day you look in the mirror and can't remember the last time you slept past 5, ate a meal sitting down, or had someone ask how you were doing, and actually wait for the answer. I'm Anthony Hyde, 77 years old, 31 years of federal service, a clean record, a pension I earned the hard way, and a 4-bedroom brick colonial on Elmwood Court in Myers Park, Charlotte, paid off in 2009. My wife Lily picked that house in 1991, walked through the front door, looked at the light coming through the back windows, and said, "This is it. This is where we raise them." 38 years of marriage taught me to stop being surprised when she was right. For 26 months, I'd been her full-time caregiver. Lily was diagnosed with early onset dementia at 64. From that day forward, my whole world became her medication schedule. Her good days, her bad days. That was all of it. But here's what I didn't know was also happening during those same 26 months. The man I called my son, the man I thanked God for every single day, had been robbing me blind. The neurologist told us on a Thursday. I drove home in silence while Lily slept in the passenger seat, one hand open in her lap like she was waiting for something to be placed in it. I sat in our driveway for 20 minutes afterward, thinking about the $340,000 in our retirement account. Every dollar of it earmarked for her care, for a memory facility on Carmel Road I'd already quietly toured, for the one fear I'd never said out loud, dying before her and leaving her with nothing. 3 days later, my son Christopher called. "Dad, I'm coming home. You cannot do this alone." I cried on that phone call, the first time in years. I thought it was the son Lily had always believed he was, finally proving her right. I didn't sleep that night, but for once, it wasn't dread keeping me up. I want you to hold on to every warm moment I'm about to describe, because I didn't learn this until much later. Chris made his first withdrawal from my retirement account 4 days after Lily's diagnosis. 4 days. He wasn't coming home because we needed him. He was coming home because he saw an opportunity, wearing the face of a crisis. But at the time, all I saw was a devoted son. He got an apartment nearby, showed up 4 or 5 times a week, came to every appointment, remembered every doctor's name. He took over the bills, the insurance, the groceries, the pharmacy runs, everything that was quietly drowning me, and made it look effortless. I thanked God for him daily. What I didn't know was that he was studying every number he touched. 3 months in, after 10 sleepless nights and my first ever missed bill, Chris sat across from me at our kitchen table with a folder. "Dad, if something happens to you tomorrow, what happens to Mom?" Everything freezes while lawyers sort it out. Every word landed exactly where I was most afraid, like he'd read my 3 a.m. thoughts off the wall. These are power of attorney documents. Let me carry this part. I was running on fumes, and love, the kind of exhaustion that gets into your decision-making. I signed. I slept better that night than I had in months. I thought I'd handed something heavy to someone strong enough to carry it. I'd handed him the keys to everything I'd ever saved. Fast forward through 26 months of dark mornings and good days and bad days. Then came a Sunday dinner at my daughter Jenna's house in Ballantyne. Her husband Trevor, quiet, unremarkable, works in bank compliance, pressed his phone into my hand under the table. 8 words. "Dad, check your retirement account right now." Then fake chest pains. Now. I opened my banking app under the table. I hadn't looked at that account in months. Chris handled the finances. The number on the screen was $12,847. There had been $340,000. Chris was laughing at his own joke across the table. Lily was smiling along, though she'd lost the thread minutes ago. I put my hand to my chest. "I don't feel right. I need some air." Chris stood in the doorway as Trevor drove me off. "Feel better, Dad. I'll check on you tomorrow." Trevor didn't take me to a hospital. He took me to his empty office building uptown, 7th floor. He closed the door and said, "Anthony." He never called me Anthony, always Dad. "Everything I'm about to show you has been verified 3 times. I didn't come to you with a suspicion. I came to you with a case." 4 months he'd known. He'd waited because Jenna needed to be completely sure before they destroyed her brother in front of their father. and because he needed every door closed before Chris knew one was open. Then he laid it out. 16 months of withdrawals, always between $3,000 and $9,000, spaced irregularly. A technique called structuring, designed to dodge federal reporting triggers and its own separate federal crime. He'd used the power of attorney to redirect my pension distributions to an account he controlled. He'd quietly changed the mailing address on my statements to a P.O. box, so I'd stopped noticing anything was wrong. He'd drained Lily's private savings, 40 years of quiet money she'd kept just for herself, while she was too confused to remember it existed. And buried in a stack of papers I'd signed half-blind on an exhausted Tuesday morning was a beneficiary change form, removing Jenna and the grandchildren entirely and naming Chris as sole heir to my retirement account. My own signature. I just didn't know what I was signing. There was one more thing. For months, Chris had been dropping quiet comments to extended family. "Dad's really struggling. I worry about him constantly." An elder law attorney Trevor had consulted recognized the pattern instantly. Chris was laying groundwork for a conservatorship petition. If he got me declared incompetent, everything he was doing illegally would become court-sanctioned. He wasn't just stealing from me. He was building a legal cage around me, one comment at a time. "How did you find it?" I asked. "Routine compliance review flagged the pattern," Trevor said. "I saw your name. I closed my office door and didn't say a word to anyone until I was certain." My phone rang. Jenna, on speaker, her voice controlled but barely. Lily had just patted Chris's hand and told him he was a good boy. He always was. Nobody spoke for a moment. I thought about what that sentence had cost my daughter, who'd spent her whole life defending her brother, only to watch him use that love as cover, while he robbed their father blind. Trevor asked quietly, "What do you want to do, Anthony?" I had two choices. Be loud, call my son right now and say every true, terrible thing sitting in my chest. Or be quiet, cold, strategic, the kind of response that actually protects the people you love. Revenge is loud, justice is quiet. I chose the one that helped her. "I want every door closed before he knows one is open," I told Trevor. Not for me, for her. He already had a plan. The next morning, I sat across from an elder law attorney named Beverly Holt, who went through Trevor's file the way a surgeon opens a body, methodical, unflinching. By noon, every power of attorney Chris held over Lily and me was formally revoked. He lost all legal access before he sat down to lunch. He had no idea. Beverly then reversed the fraudulent beneficiary form, restoring Jenna and the grandchildren. Chris was removed. Still no idea. The next day, Trevor's compliance department opened a formal fraud investigation, handing detectives an evidence file so clean, the lead investigator called it the most organized case he'd received from a private citizen in 11 years. Meanwhile, Chris kept coming by, bringing food, sitting with Lily, pouring me sweet tea, asking if I was feeling better after my scare. I looked at my son in my own living room and thought about the $12,847, about Lily's vanished savings, about the cage he was quietly building around me. "You're right, son," I told him. "I'm going to start paying very close attention to everything going forward." He nodded, satisfied, with no idea what was already in motion. While he thought Jenna was at work, she let herself into our house with her spare key and pulled the original paperwork Beverly needed, documents Chris never imagined she'd go looking for, because he'd never considered that Jenna might stop defending him long enough to move against him. She told me later she felt nothing while she was inside. She sat in her car for 10 minutes afterward before she could drive. I didn't ask what those 10 minutes felt like. I already knew. Beverly then opened emergency Medicaid planning proceedings, finding protective pathways I didn't know existed, legal structures that could still shield Lily's care, even with the account gutted. The facility on Carmel Road, the one I'd toured in secret and prayed over in the dark, was still reachable. For the first time in 9 days, I exhaled all the way. Chris came back once more, asking if I'd thought about updating my advance directive. "Just thinking ahead, Dad." I almost felt sorry for him, almost. "You're absolutely right," I said. "I should be thinking ahead." Every door around him was already closed. He just hadn't tried any of them yet. On the 9th day, I called him myself. "Come to Sunday dinner. Bring something nice. We have a lot to be grateful for." He arrived at 6 with an expensive bottle of wine and his widest smile. Lily wore the blue dress I love on her, having a good day. Warm, present, telling a story from 35 years ago that made Jenna laugh despite everything she was carrying. Trevor sat quiet and steady beside his wife, unremarkable to anyone at that table who didn't know what he'd done, which was everyone except me. Chris held court at the head of the table, charming and generous, refilling glasses, like the last 16 months had never happened. Midway through the first course, there was a knock at the door. I opened it myself. 2 financial crimes detectives, plain clothes, paperwork in hand, calm and unhurried. I'd met with them 3 days earlier. They knew exactly who they were there for. I heard Chris go silent behind me. I stepped aside. The detectives walked in, and I watched my son's face in the exact moment he understood. There was no guilt in it first. His eyes moved fast around the room, searching for an exit that didn't exist. Jenna stood up slowly. She'd rehearsed this moment for 9 days and found, when it finally came, that it was simpler than anything she'd prepared. No raised voice, no tears. I want you to look at Mom before you leave this house, Chris. The room went still. Chris looked at Lily. She looked back at him with total warmth, not understanding what was happening, thinking perhaps he was just leaving early. She lifted her hand and waved. "Good night, sweetheart. You're such a good boy. You always have been." Jenna let that sit. Let everyone feel exactly what Lily's disease had done. Protected her son from ever having to watch her face change, carrying him safely through the rest of her life with his name clean in her memory. He would never have to earn that. Then Jenna spoke, quiet and direct. "She'll probably always believe that. Her mind will protect you from ever seeing her understand what you did. But I understand it. Dad understands it. Every withdrawal you made while he was up at 5 a.m. giving her medication. Every document you had him sign while he was half blind with exhaustion trying to protect her. Every time you sat at this table and let him thank God for you. I know all of it. And I will spend every day of the rest of my life making sure both of them are okay. Not because I have to. Because that's what loving someone actually looks like." Chris was walked out the front door of the house on Elmwood Court. Lily waved cheerfully from her chair, believing completely that her son was simply leaving after a lovely dinner, the way he always did. He pleaded guilty. The paper trail Trevor built was too clean for any attorney to fight. Elder financial abuse, criminal fraud, federal structuring charges. Restitution was ordered. It comes back slowly, in pieces, the way he took it. Some of it doesn't come back at all. I'm making my peace with that. Some days that's the best you can do. But Lily's care is protected. The facility on Carmel Road is reachable. She will be okay. Not the life we planned, but okay. And okay, right now, is everything. I still think about something I didn't fully understand until all of this happened. Chris was my blood, but Trevor chose me. And when the people who were supposed to love you show you exactly what they are, being chosen by someone who had no obligation to stay is the thing that puts you back together. Not all the way, but enough.